Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Please join me in our opening prayer. The energy of love is within us and is us. Whole and complete is the I am that we are. We awaken to the truth of our being. We will this be done within and without. May we come to recognize that we receive all that we give. And we know that we have been forgiven and forgiven ourselves when we forgive others of all grievances held within our minds. May we not be led into temptation by the voice of separation, but instead may we transcend all illusions. For ours is the power, the peace, and the love of Christ consciousness found within each of us, who is but the perfect extension of the one mind and heart that is shared by all of us and is our birthright as the holy extensions of love itself. And our affirmation of faith. We believe in one God, the author and energy of all life, whose love sustains the universe and all things found within it. Our 5 Christ principles. 1. There is only one energy in the universe. That energy is love, at all times active in everyone, everywhere. We are the divine energy of love, and that energy is found throughout the universe and in all things, whether seen or unseen. 3. We create our experiences by what we choose to think, feel, and believe, thereby establishing our responsibility for our own choices. 4. Through opening our heart center, we connect with the energy of love and bring out the Christ within us. And 5. We express our desire to be of service when we live and demonstrate Christ consciousness in all our affairs.
Thank you, Miss Penny. And I'd like to welcome everyone who is here, to those watching and to those who will watch later in the week. Thank you for joining us here at the Church of Christ Consciousness. We are here for those who are truly ready to live the truth of their being. This being the first Sunday of the new year, you might think that I would talk about the new. No. Or making resolutions or something like that. No. Over the last week, I've noticed something, and I decided this is what I wanted to speak on today. I've noticed a lot of miserable people. Everywhere I go, it's like people they seem miserable. And I'm not sure I understand why. I'm not saying that life can't be hard at times and that there are, let's call them life storms that arise. But we don't have to be miserable. And I want you to recognize, what do I mean by misery and being miserable? If you look the word misery up in the dictionary, it says to suffer and want. All right, so misery is to suffer. Now the question is misery a thought or a feeling? Misery itself is a feeling, a heightened feeling of grief. Yet please recognize there are really only 2 emotions, love or fear. And misery must be from fear. It is one of the fear-based emotions. So as I've walked around, I'm wondering, what are people afraid of? What is it that everyone is scared of? Well, before we can get into that, we need to look at something else. Fear is always something in the future. You're not afraid of anything in the past. It's gone. The past is dead. It's behind you. What's there to be afraid of? It's over. In the present moment, you may be thinking, well, I'm fearful in the present moment. Well, no, because in the present moment, in the particular moment, regardless of what is going on around you, you can be at peace. But those who say that they are fearful in the present moment or are experiencing misery in the present moment, what they are really doing is they are projecting the present moment into the future and living as if the present moment is the future. The what if. All right, that's what I want you to recognize is what if. Because remember, misery is defined as suffering and want. What if I lose what I have or don't get what I need? That's in the future. But you're bringing it into the present moment. Yet if you look back in the dictionary, it will tell you what the opposite is. What is the opposite of misery? You may think that it's happiness. Well, I would tell you that's not what the dictionary says. The dictionary does not say that the opposite of misery is happiness. It's heaven. In the dictionary, it says that the opposite of misery, the antonym, the opposite, is heaven. But heaven can only be experienced in the moment, not the past, not the future, because time itself is not real. The only part of time that is real is this moment, this now. And it is from this moment that we can experience heaven. So when I see people walking around and they're miserable, I'm like, come back into the moment. Come back to heaven, which is right, which is in this moment. Jesus the Christ told us that heaven is within us. So it's not like we have to go looking for it. It's with us. Wherever we are, it is. What part of that did we miss? Wherever we are, heaven is. But if we're looking out there for something to supply our needs, to make us happy, we'll never find heaven, because heaven is not out there. You will not find it outside of yourself. It is within us. And if misery is suffering and want, then what is, and that's the definition of misery, then what is heaven? Well, it'd be the opposite of suffering. So what is suffering? Suffering is tied to grief. It's tied to loss or lack. And there is nothing that is lacking in heaven. Again, where's heaven is within us. So there is nothing lacking within us. We must acknowledge it. That's our choice. That's our power. Choice is our power. If we look out here, we remain powerless. We may think that we're powerful, but if we're looking out here for something to fix us, then we're saying we're victims, and what we need to fix us is out there. And that's not the case. We'll never find it. We will never know happiness. We will never know heaven until we turn within. And when we turn within and we remove the fear, even if it's for a moment, remove the fear and allow the love that is within our heart to rise up. Because remember, fear and love cannot dwell in the same house. Well, by the way, if you follow house in the dictionary, you will see that it means mind. The mind. The mind cannot have fear and love at the same time. Love will always bow out. Love must be welcomed. Therefore, heaven must be welcomed. We must welcome it. And the only way to welcome it is to let fear go. So in a roundabout way, yes, I am talking about the new year. Flip on the TV, there's enough to be fearful about. Every ad is trying to get you to buy something to alleviate some fear that you have of growing old or getting sick or something. Or acquire this item so that you'll be better off than, your neighbor. It all has to do with what's out here. We have the means within us to be at peace, to experience love, to experience joy. But here's the thing. If you think that happiness or joy and peace and love are three separate things, then you will continue to be miserable. They're the same. Peace and joy are fruits from the tree of love. And Jesus said you will know them by their fruit. You will know them because they're happy, they're at peace, they're joyful. You will know them by their fruits. Well, I see a lot of fruit on people, and it's misery, loneliness, depression, bitterness, anger. That's not from the tree of love. That is from that other tree, the tree that's mentioned in the garden. And you can sit there and eat from the fruit of it all day long, and then wonder why you're miserable and lonely and angry and depressed. Because it's from the tree of knowledge. But to search for knowledge means that you must be ignorant of it. And God did not create ignorant beings. He gave us all. God doesn't know how not to give all in creation. It's what He is. But somewhere or another we believed we lacked it. Go back into the Bible and look for yourself. It said that Eve looked at the fruit with desire, with want and need, because it would make her something she believed that she was lacking, like the gods. And how many people do you know that still go out looking for something that they believe they're lacking? Just like Eve. Just like Eve. Nothing has changed. How many thousands of years later? Nothing has changed. Here's the key. The key that people miss. You cannot separate love and trust. For where there is love, there must be trust. If there is no trust, there can be no love. And if there's no love, there's only fear. So, what I'm asking us, all of us who are watching, who will watch later, who are here this afternoon, trust. Trust enough to turn within, to remove the fear. If you want to be fearful, you can go back and pick it up. That's up to you. But for this moment, let the fear go and find out how much more joyous it is to eat from the tree of love. which is the tree of life, which is the Christ that is within each of us. But we have all denied it. We've denied it too long. And as a people, it is time to come back to love. To live in and from love. To radiate that love. To allow the light that is within you to shine. But that takes trust. It's time to be the lighthouse. I mean, I want you to think about this. Is a miserable person a lighthouse? Is that someone that you would like to emulate or follow because you just think, oh wow, they're so miserable. I want to be as miserable as they are. I have never heard anybody tell me, I want to follow that person because they're miserable. No, you've never heard it. And you don't do it yourself. But when you are in misery, your light is cut off to the world. And all another person sees is dead air, dead space. It's dark and lonely. And when you're in that space, you're in darkness, you're lonely and afraid. But if you have touched heaven and opened the door, Jesus told us all we had to do is knock. He'll open it. That's it. That's all. All he said is just knock. And he will open the door. You don't even have to put your hand out on the doorknob. He opens it for you. Then you have to do the second thing. The door's open, but you must cross the threshold. He's not going to pull you in and then slam the door. You have to walk across the threshold yourself. Why? There's the trust. So, I want you to think about this. If love is the answer, and fear is what has been controlling us, what are we really afraid of? Well, there's an old Buddhist Zen saying that goes like this. A student asked his master, "Master, how can I be at peace?" The master said, "Love." The student said, "Why do I not love?" The master said, "Because you're in fear." The student said, what am I afraid of?" The master said, "Love." The student said, "I'm afraid of love? That can't be." The master said, "You just told me you're not at peace. You want peace. Peace is a fruit of love. If you're not coming from a place of love, you must be coming then from a place of fear. And what is it that we fear the most? Love. Which is why we won't cross the threshold. It's why we won't even knock on the door of heaven, which is within us. Because we would rather be miserable and in fear than to be love. To radiate that love, to be the lighthouse. Now we'll end it with this. Do you know why? Because we're afraid that somebody might actually ask us to lead the way, to let our light shine. Now that's truly the fear of love. So that puts you back in fear, and the light is off. It's been covered. It takes trust to let your light shine, to come from a place of love, always, not judging anyone or anything, always coming from a place of love, which means to allow all things that are happening to unfold without any judgment and without trying to manipulate or control an outcome. which is nothing but attachment. And attachment is the root of all suffering, which then in turn makes us miserable. Do you see the loop we're caught in? And all we were asked is to be heaven. Live it. Let the light shine. And trust that whatever we need will be given to us as we need it. This past week I heard something. I said, and we all know this, we've been taught this ad nauseum. In heaven there are no needs, for all needs are met. Why? Why are there no needs? Well, this leads to heaven is abundant. There's only abundance. But you must understand what abundance is. It doesn't mean things. It literally means you have what you need in the moment you need it. That's abundant. That's why in heaven there are no needs. And that, my dear brothers and sisters, requires trust. But we don't trust it. So we live in fear of lack, of not having. Therefore, we don't live abundant, true abundant lives with the trust of knowing that heaven is within us, and that if we are living from that state of heaven, from love, that if we need it, it's there. We don't have to ask which way to turn, what to do next. We know. We quietly know, because it is all given to us. But it all falls back to trust. Love and trust cannot be separated. They are the same. But without trust, there is no love. And without love, there's only fear. We've played around with fear long enough. Isn't it time to live from love and find out exactly how different our lives could be? But we have to trust. And trust seems to be a hard thing for most people. And imagine, if trust is that hard, imagine how hard it is for them to love. Impossible. Choice is again yours, as I began with. The choice is yours. You must make the choice. If you make the choice to love, then you have to make the choice to trust. Trust heaven. It is there. And if you haven't done it, knock on the door and be greeted. And then enter and see how different your life will be. Now that is a New Year's message. That is how to change this coming year. Not making resolutions which deal with all the things out here. It's getting out of your own way and turning in to where help really is, where change is in an instant. And you will remember who and what you are. That is a new year. That is the change we need. So God bless all of you. Thank you for joining me. For those watching and even those who will watch later, thanks to y'all who are here today. And now we will go into our quiet meditation.
Move just a little and get yourselves comfortable, both feet on the floor. Looking ahead of you at the end of your nose, or closing your eyes, however you choose. And breathe in, calm. And breathe out. Breathe in, calm. And breathe out. Breathe in stillness and breathe out. Let's sit here for just a moment in the stillness, in the quietness of this place, and follow the music. And if a thought arises, breathe in and say, I welcome love, and breathe out. Let's spend the next moment and a half in that still place, breathing in and out, and welcoming peace, welcoming love. And as we come back to this place, remember, breathe in stillness and breathe out love. And if a thought arises in your mind that is fearful, remind it, I welcome only love.
Thank you again, Miss Penny. And I'd like to thank everyone who's watching or will watch later, and to those who are here right now. We've come to the end of the service. But before we close with our closing prayer, I'd like to remind everybody that this afternoon at 4:30, you can Zoom in with us or be here in person for A Course of Love at 5:30 for A Course in Miracles. And on Wednesday, you can Zoom or be here in person for The Way of Mastery. And you can find the link for Zoom on Meetup. Just click RSVP and you will automatically have the link for 4:30, 5:30 today and for Wednesday as well. All right. Thank you, Penny, for reminding me that. If you would say silently with me our closing prayer. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive. We give and receive and live through and from love. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks for watching.